In this video, we're going to be taking a look at and ranking every single Asgard under the brand new leader, Loki, Prince of Lies. Hey guys, Rich from Richmond Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome to this, another Marvel Crisis Protocol video, and kind of continuing our little series where we're taking a look at individual leaders in the game and taking a look at all of the affiliated characters that they can potentially bring with them, and me giving my opinion on the ones that I think work really well, the ones that are okay, and the ones that are not so good. And obviously we're doing this in the form of a tier list. I do apologise for lack of content over the last couple of weeks. I've been fairly busy with a number of different things. I've been moving house, I've been preparing for the GT event in Sheffield, and I've also been doing a lot of work on the Shatterpoint mod. Hopefully you guys have seen some of the increases in quality on that mod over the last couple of weeks. But we're not here to talk about Shatterpoint, we're here to talk about MCP and some brand new Asgardians and some older Asgardians. So the first thing we're going to do is jump in and just remind ourselves of Loki, Prince of Lies. So he's a 5-threat leader. So off the bat, we're already going to be limited with the number of characters that we can bring, but these guys are Asgardians, right? You're never going wide with these guys. 445 on his defensive stat line. He's got 7 stamina on his front, size 2, but he's also got that long move, which is really nice indeed. But the thing that we want to be looking at here is I come bearing gifts, the Asgard leadership that he has. While another allied character is attacking, defending, or dodging, during the modified dice step, it may spend 1 power. If it does, it may reroll one of its dice, and this character gains 1 power. So it's something that Asgard lacked for a while, really, was dice manipulation. And then they sort of got it in the form of Heimdall, but it was quite expensive and it was reliant on Heimdall spending all of that power. The thing I like with this is it's a leadership, so it's board wide. You're not having to be within a certain range of Heimdall or anything like that. And whilst you are only re-rolling 1 die, you only have to spend 1 power for it. But it's the character themselves that spends the power, not anybody else. So I do really like this. And there is a little kicker on here, is that it gives a power to Loki, which can be really nice to use some of the stuff that he wants to use. So what's he got in there that's going to help other characters? Well, first of all, we've got Go Forth. Choose an allied character within 4. Place the chosen character within 2 of its current location, and then this superpower can only be used once per turn. So characters like Angela with the long move, like Bill with the medium move on a medium base, your Valkyries, your OG Thors that have got access to charges and things like that. It's going to make it much easier for them to get up the board and be much more efficient when it comes to their action economy when it does come to their turn. And then he's also got Oh What a Pity. This is a reactive ability. It's going to cost 1 power after an attack targeting this character or an allied character within 3, or after an attack made by this character is resolved, it may use this superpower. If the enemy character's roll contains any failures, that character suffers 1 damage. So think of this, he's almost got a pseudo Ghost Rider, OG Ghost Rider thing going on here. Now it is only 1 damage that he gets to do, whereas with Ghost Rider it's a damage per crit, but the idea is it's something very similar. Apart from it will work, this works on Loki, both when Loki is attacking and is being attacked. So I really like Loki. He's got a lot of things that I'm quite happy about. And I think for me, he could be edging towards the top of my favourite Asgardian leaders, hence why I wanted to build this video around him. So let's jump in then and let's take a look at the characters that we are going to be taking a look at. So we've got Angela, Bill, Enchantress. We've got Heimdall. We've got Hela. I almost forgot a name there. We've got the Mighty Thor. We've got Lady Sif, Scourge, Thor, Prince of Asgard, Thor, Hero of Midgard, and then we have got Valkyrie. So let's start off then, guys, and let's take a look at Angela. So Angela's an interesting one. Medium base, long move is not to be sniffed at. For the extract game, this is really, really nice. If you're on something like cubes and you have priority, Angela is a great option to be able to go up and pick a central cube, but also then come back and pick up another cube as well. Or if you're on a pay to flip, she has the power to be able to go and pick up a central point and come back. But really that ability to be able to get to the middle of the board, get what she needs and come back is most definitely not to be sniffed at. In terms of the rerolls, well, look, she's already in a good position because of those living ribbons, which you guys can't actually see on here. So let me just move that up there ever so slightly. There we go. Enemies cannot place the movement, blah, 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 blah. Enemy characters cannot reroll or change attack die when targeting this character with attack. So she's already turned off her opponents. And if she gets them herself, it's pretty good. She's got a terrain throw, which is pretty standard across most of the Asgardians. And she's really all about doing the damage, right? The one big attack that she's going to want to really be able to pop off with is going to be Heaven's Wrath, and she is fishing there for something. So with the cleave, also with Pursuit, she's also fishing more often than not for that hit as well. So those rerolls are going to come into play really, really nicely, and either just help her maximize that damage that she wants to be able to do, or indeed be able to get those triggers that she needs. The downsides for Angela are the fact that she doesn't have a character thrower, which I think in a attrition focused list is a little bit lacking. But to sort of balance that, she does have Angelic Assassin, which lets her make another attack when she dazes or KOs somebody. So that can be quite nice. Let's not forget all of these guys have got access to some pretty decent tactics cards as well, especially in the form of Odin's Blessing. But yeah, overall, I think she's pretty solid. She is another 5 threat. So, we're already looking at 10 threats worth of characters, should I say. But I think, whilst Bill has a good extract play, he is really needing to use Eyes on the Prize for it, whereas Angela can just do this herself. Everything Bill can do with Eyes on the Prize, Angela can do herself and have a power left over to boot as well, and be even further away from danger because she's a long move and not just a medium move. So for me, I think Angela is going to be pretty solid under Loki. I think she's going to really like those rerolls to just maximise that damage, or indeed, because she's rolling 4 defense dice across the board, just be able to mitigate some of that extra damage that is coming in. So I think she's going to be pretty solid. I think for the pure extract play alone, I think she's going to go into A tier for me. And let's just quickly run through the tiers and what they are. S are going to be characters that you are more than likely taking in your squad every single game that you play. A tier is going to be, these guys are really good. They're probably going to be making your roster most of the time. B tier, perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. They are middle of the road. They don't really excel under him, but they work absolutely fine. C tier is going to be a little bit meh. Either they don't synergize really well with Loki, or you've got some better options at the same threat level, or indeed the same name ahead of them. And then D tier is really going to be do not touch. Really at the moment, not worth taking, and there are definitely better options either in or indeed out of affiliation. So with them down, let's then take a look at our next character, and that is going to be Beta Ray Bill. I mean, look, we spoke a lot about Bill for a 4-threat character. He does so much. Medium move, medium base, access to eyes on the prize. He has got character throws, terrain feature throws in abundance, because not only does he have them on his superpower, immeasurable strength, he also has access to God Hunter as well. So with God Hunter, he's really going to be wanting to fish for those that hit crit wild. On Summon the Storm, he's already got 2 rerolls in there, and he gets to reroll his failure results as well, which is really important. So yeah, that's quite nice. And again, he's going to be fishing for that shock and that extra damage. And then even on Stormbreaker, he's going to be looking for that extra damage and that stun potentially. Look, these guys have never really struggled for power generation. Bill definitely doesn't either. He's always going to want to keep 1 power on hand for Corbinite Cybernetics, just to be able to remove or reduce damage from any sort of attack, or sorry, any sort of damage that is incoming. So it doesn't have to just be attack. It can be allied damage, it can be enemy damage, or it can be neutral damage as well. I mean, look, incinerate, poison, bleed for immunity. I mean, it's pretty obvious where this guy is going. He's just very, very good at the moment, and I think actually under Loki he could work really, really well, because he's going to be wanting to use those rerolls. He's going to be feeding power into Loki, then letting Loki do his things as well. Being able to, one of the things that you can do with Bill is displace him, and he doesn't have a way of being able to get back onto a point if you choose not to hit him, so he doesn't get to use Honor Bound. That can be the one downside to him, but I think he goes straight into S tier, and at the moment at the very top of S tier, because I just think he is that good. Okay, let's move on to Enchantress, aka Amora, a character that has been somewhat left by the wayside a little bit, I would say. She used to be one of the big bads in MCP. They then changed the way in which some of her abilities work, in particular Amora's Kiss. It didn't used to be an action, it is now an action. But let's quickly run through her cards. So she's a 4-threat. She's a medium base, medium move. So weirdly, she is another candidate for Eyes on the Prize. Is she a medium base?
A few moments later.
She is not a medium base. That shows you how long it is since I've played Enchantress. But what is it she's doing? What is it she's looking for? Well, she's a 2/2/5, which you look at it and go, well, that's really bad. But she causes your opponent to have to spend 2 power. Otherwise, she gets to use her Mystic Defense. You can see there she's got lots of triggers that she's trying to get, both on that Spurned Affection, her builder, and also on Enthrall as well. Now, the nice thing about Spurned Affection is it's that Beam 3 attack, and she's going to get a guaranteed power for each one. Now, because Loki's leadership isn't limited to once per turn, it means that she can use it every single attack that she makes on the beam, and she's guaranteed to get at least 1 power back, potentially more when she, if she hits those wilds for that sap power. So that can be really nice. And then obviously on the Enthrall, you've got all of the conditions that she's dishing out there. So potentially a slow, stun, and stagger, which can be quite brutal. But again, the big thing that she was played for was Amora's Kiss. Choose an enemy character within one of this character. Move one asset or civilian token to the chosen character is holding this character. Basically, she steals, right? She steals something off one of your opponents. This didn't used to be an action. It is now an action. So she just hasn't seen as much play. Hell Hath No Fury. It's a terrain feature throw, but it is only size 2, but it is range 3, and it is a medium throw. So that can be quite nice. Siren's Call. Choose an enemy character within 3. Advance it short. It's quite nice for being able to get people off points. And then, as we have already mentioned, the enchanting that lets her use her mystic defense unless you pay 2 power. So a bit of a tax there, which when you add in the route that Loki can dish out, does sort of stack up in terms of getting your opponent to spend as much of their power as possible. Where does she sit in the list? Well, again, she's a character that really hasn't seen much play whatsoever, but I actually think she's okay. Like, she's absolutely fine. I'm sort of toying with her somewhere between a... let's actually think about it this way. So she is a 4-threat character. She has, I would argue, at least 2, if not 3, 4-threat characters who are ahead of her in the pecking order. Obviously, Bill being the top of that, but there's some others in here as well. So I actually think because of that, I think she's perfectly fine as a character, but I think as a 4-threat, I do believe that there are better options out there from within Asgard themselves. So because of that, I am going to put her into C tier. Okay, we spoke about him very briefly earlier on. Heimdall the All-Seeing, a 3-threat character. So, we talk about how with other affiliations, having a 2-threat is really good. You're lucky to get a couple of 3 threats in Asgard, and I was quite surprised he was a 3-threat. But let's take a quick look at what he does. So 6 stamina, medium move, small base, 3s across the board, size 2. Strike, power equal to damage dealt, 5 dice, range 2, and then Horfund. It costs 3, you get 2 extra dice, but you get to push the character away medium if it deals damage. So, yeah, it's okay. Guardian of the Bifrost. Choose this character or another allied character within 4, place it within 2. Loki's kind of already doing that for us, but that's fine. And then All-Seeing Eyes, reactive, cost 2. When an allied character within 3 is attacking, defending, or dodging, during the modified dice step, this character may use this superpower and reroll up to 2 of its own dice. So look, it's more rerolls. It's 2 power for 2, which is absolutely fine. But this does have a kicker on there. When an allied character within 3 rolls dice for a crisis card, team tactics card, this character may spend this superpower, the allied character may reroll 2 of its own dice. So what's unusual about Heimdall is he's not just affecting the attack, dodge, the sort of offensive, defensive rolls that you make. You can also reroll for crisis and reroll for team tactics cards as well. Why would you want to roll for team tactics cards? Well, there are some team tactics cards out there that let you reroll dice. That let you roll dice to do certain thing. He allows you to reroll them. So he's pretty good. And then rounding it out, 4th end, when an enemy character ends a movement within 2 of this character may use his superpower, immediately make a strike action against that character. So yeah, you just spend the 2 and you might do a damage or 2 and then get that power back. But it's quite nice. And obviously, Asgardians are getting that extra power. They all get the extra power. A couple of them have got slightly different names for it. Look, Heimdall's in a good position because he is a 3 cost, but I do believe that there are better 3 costs available. But I do quite like him. He's a character I think I would expect to see in a roster, but I don't think you play him every single game. Maybe against some particular opponents, maybe on particular maps where it's a little bit tighter. So you're going to be able to, that range 3 bubble is going to have far more of an impact. The problem with Heimdall is that power generation. So he's not really looking to benefit from Loki's leadership, because you probably don't want to spend the power unless you're doing a Horfund and you need to get 1 damage off to get the medium push. You're not really going to be wanting to spend power on his own attacks, because he wants to save his power for the All-Seeing Eyes and for Forfend. So, within a single turn, he's looking at spending 3 power for Guardian. Well, he only generates 2 per turn, and he doesn't have a guaranteed way of generating a power. But I still think he's absolutely fine. I think in terms of where he goes and where he's going to be sitting on the list, I think he's just an example of a perfectly fine character, not exceptional in any way, shape or form, but just absolutely fine in terms of what he does. Okay, Hela, Queen of Hell next. And again, another character that has sort of fallen by the wayside a little bit. She's another 4 threat. And again, I think she's probably outshined a little bit by some of the other characters. But I do still think she's a pretty solid piece. 4s across the board, which for a 4 threat is pretty darn good. Obviously Asgardian, so it gets the extra 2 power. Medium base, medium move, so another candidate for that extract play. 6 stamina, Hellforge Blade, so it's going to be power equal to damage dealt for her builder, but it's going to be range 3 and strength 5, which is nice. Claim Soul, so some mystic attacks, but Loki kind of brings a lot of mystic anyway, but this could very much be setup dependent. It's going to cost 1 power, but you're going to be guaranteed you're not guaranteed. If you do a damage, you're going to gain a claim captured soul, but 6 strength, especially at range 4, so you can bypass all sorts of defensive stuff. You should be doing a damage there against most things. Reign of Hell, 7 strength, going to cost 3. If a target has the bleed special condition, it does not count wild results as successes, and then you get an explosive on a wild. Before damage is dealt, other enemy characters within 2 suffer 1 damage. Look, from an attack perspective, she's pretty good. The thing about Hela is she gets to do some really cool things with her tokens that she gets, those captured soul tokens. So Army of Hell, discard 1 or more captured soul tokens during the next Hellforged Blade or Reign of Hell attack made by this character. Add 1 die to its attack for each captured soul token that was discarded. Very Punisher-esque, if you've ever played Punisher. If it was discarded after the attack is resolved, the target character gains the bleed special condition. This superpower can only be used once per turn. So it's pretty nice, adding extra dice. She can have up to 3 tokens, so making her builder an 8 dice builder, or that Reign of Hell a 10 dice. You can see there that she is fishing for a couple of triggers there with the wild and on Hellforge Blade for bleed and for explosive. So she'll definitely be able to make use of those rerolls from Loki. Death's Embrace, choose an enemy character within 3, advance this character towards the chosen character short. Then, if this character is within 1 of the chosen character, roll 4 dice. For each crit and wild in the result, the chosen character suffers 1 damage. For each damage suffered this way, you may remove 1 damage. So, it's a really nice way of being able to heal her up. Now, 4 dice with a crit and a wild, you're going to be averaging 1 success there. So 2 power for, and you need to sort of think about it this way, 2 power for a short advance, a damage and a heal. It's not bad. It's most definitely not bad. And then Goddess of Death, with another character is dazed or KO'd. This is either allied or enemy. She gains a captured soul token. Now, it is worth just going to the back of her card, because she has Queen of Hell. So she does have some changes. First of all, she drops significantly on her stamina, but the reason for that is Queen of Hell. If this character has 3 captured soul tokens when it would be KO'd, you may use this superpower. Remove all damage and captured soul tokens from this character. It is not KO'd. So other characters do a similar thing, right? But they do it in the form of a tactics card. The good thing with Hela is it doesn't use a tactics card. The bad thing with Hela is that 4 stamina pool means that even if she does stop the first one, it's very, very difficult to keep her alive after that, because of the fact that she only has that 4 stamina. But with all that said and done, where do we think she goes on the list? And I may surprise some of you guys here, but I actually really like her. She brings something a little bit different to the game. As I mentioned, medium base, medium move, so a prime candidate for that turn 1 extract play if you kind of don't want to be forced into playing Angela or Bill, or you're just looking to play something a little bit different, or indeed a little bit more thematic. As with Loki, Hela is most definitely leaning on the evil side of the Asgardian spectrum. So maybe you just want to play a thematic list. But look, I think she's perfectly fine, guys. And I'm going to put her in B tier, just behind Heimdall. I think she can do some really good work. And I played against her recently. And I'm not saying she was the MVP by any stretch, but she was pretty darn good. Okay, the first of our newer characters, I suppose brand new characters, because they haven't even been released yet. The Mighty Thor, Jane Foster. Another 5 threat, so this is where we start to get a little bit funky on the 5 threats. Falls across the board, 8 stamina, medium move, size 2, hammer strike, range 3, strength 6, but on a wild, she's going to be able to throw the enemy character, if it's size 4 or less, away short. And on a range 3 attack, that's pretty darn good indeed. Lightning Blast, we've got that electric shock on a wild. And remember, it will do damage to your own characters as well as your opponent, so you really need to think about that one. For Midgard, she gets a charge with an attack, gets to reroll 2 dice, which, is quite nice. Inner Strength, another terrain throw, another character without a character throw. I mean, she does have one on her hammer strike, but even so, it's not guaranteed. If she be worthy, she gets to reroll defense dice if it's physical or energy. And then Blessed by the All-Mother, so she's not quite Asgardian, but she's blessed by the All-Mother, and she also has immunity shock. Look, she's pretty solid. She obviously comes with a leadership, so bring something a little bit different in there as well, but we are obviously just looking at her under Loki himself. So yes, she's going to get those rerolls to be able to, modify or maximize her damage output there, fishing for those triggers. I'm really in 2 minds with the Mighty Thor. I think the problem is that she's up against some really, really good 5 threat characters, and she just lacks a little bit for me. I think she's better than at least one other character in this box. But for me, she's just lacking a little bit of something. But all that said and done, I still think she's a perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable character. For me, she's going to go to that top end of B tier. Time will tell as we get more games in with her. But for me right now, I think that's probably where she belongs. Okay, the next character from the brand new box, it is Lady Sif, the brand new 4 threat for Asgard. And I've seen quite a few people say that they do not like Lady Sif. And I think you guys are crazy, 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 crazy. She can do so much during her turn. She is, for me, the real epitome of a fourth threat character who you want to be able to put up against people one-to-one. She's self-sufficient in that she has her own rerolls. She mitigates damage. She can displace herself. She's got a huge amount of movement on there. So I really, really like her. 4/3/3 across the board, 6 stamina, medium move, warrior bomb. It's going to be power equal to damage dealt. She's going to have a number of triggers on here as well. On a wild, it's a push, and a wild and a crit, it's going to be a advance towards that target as well. And then Warrior Forged, 3/7/3 in terms of range, strength, and power. Mighty Bash. After this attack is resolved, if the target character is size 3 or less, she can throw the target medium. Then she advances short. She's got a charge in there. She's got Master Swordsman in there. As we mentioned, she's battle tested, which is reducing the damage by 1 to a minimum of 1. She's really going to benefit from those extra rerolls from Loki, even though she's got her own inbuilt. She has to use Master Swordsman. She does have to use Master Swordsman at the point of attack or defense or being targeted. So you pay for that beforehand, and it's reroll any number, but it is only range 2. Whereas her Warrior Forged, it's at range 3, so you might not quite be in range for that. But even if you whiff on those, you've still then got that backup of only needing to use Loki's if, as and when it comes into play. So you only need to pay for it if you need to use it. I really like her, guys. I think she's absolutely solid. And I think she's going to do some really, really good work. I think for me, she's going into A tier. Let me do this a second. Yeah, she's going into A tier, guys, but going in just behind Angela. I think she's really, really good. I really do like her as a character. Okay, next up then we have got Scourge the Executioner. Scourge is an interesting one. He does have a bodyguard on there, which is not to be sniffed at. He does have a throw, but again, it is a terrain feature throw only. Battle Axe, being able to get 1 guaranteed power is always nice. And again, he's always fishing for that bleed. And then on the Executioner, if somebody has the bleed, he gets to reroll 2 dice on there, which is quite nice. Yeah, I mean, he's just okay as a 3 threat. He's let down hugely by his 6/3/2 stat line, so he's very susceptible to mystic attacks. So you're probably never going to be bodyguarding onto him with a mystic attack. But you know, he's still pretty solid. So I think he's absolutely fine. For me, he's probably the weakest of the 3 threats for Asgard right now. But I still think he's perfectly fine. I still think he's perfectly serviceable. He doesn't go into C tier. He's just at the very bottom end of B tier. I think that's a perfectly fine place for him to be. And yeah, I just think he's pretty solid all around. But doesn't excel really at any one thing. But he's a 3 threat, so nor should he really. Okay, guys, Thor, Prince of Asgard. This is the OG Thor, but the updated version of him. We've been through this character so many times. I think underneath Loki, this guy is going to be really, really good. Getting access to those rerolls is really nice. Having a Loki on the board who can synergize with him is really good. This version of Thor, for me, I think is the best version of Thor that we have in the game right now. Now, that doesn't mean that this guy is exceptional, but I still think he's really good. Throw on his strike, dishes out a guaranteed shock with the hammer throw, dishes out a guaranteed shock with God of Thunder. He's got a pseudo charge. It has to be a strike, but that's fine because if it deals damage, they get the stagger special condition. How many times have you done that and you've not quite got the damage, or you don't quite get the throw? This is a really nice way of being able to do it. Strongest Avenger. Guess what, guys? He can throw enemy characters, which puts him ahead of a lot of these others already. And immunity to stun. So yes, he's got the shock, but also immunity to stun for characters that want to be spending a lot of power almost every single turn. Immunity to stun is absolutely huge. This is going to surprise quite a few people, I think. I think under Loki, I really do think Thor, Prince of Asgard, can really, really excel. But I still have to temper that with the fact that it's still not quite the Thor I want. But for me, he's going to go in that A tier, but just in between. Does he go above Angela? Do you know what? I think because of what Loki does and the fact that he can get Thor further up the board, if you can then get an extra power into Thor, being able to do a turn 1 charge or a round 1 charge, and the fact that he's got access to terrain as well as... character as well as terrain throws, puts him just above. The extract player just pips it. But yeah, very, very close. Very, very close indeed. Okay, let's move on to the new version of Thor. Now, I have made my thoughts on this version of Thor pretty clear in the last video. He is not a 6 threat character. I do not believe he is a 6 threat character. But I've had people say to me, yeah, but I say the nay villain. And by the way, you have to do it with the voice, which, yeah, it's really good, right? 7 dice and, they're going to take damage for each one. But actually, it's not as good as a lot of the other ones, right? It costs 1 more and it's only 3 extra dice on most of them. But with others, they only cost 2 and you can do it every attack. You don't, it's not limited to ones per turn. So I don't like that. Have at thee, right? It's a throw, and yes, he's size 3 versus size 2, so it can be better. But actually, I would rather have access to a charge rather than a throw. The power of Thor, yes, it's long, but it's only range 2, it's only size 4, and it's only an interactive terrain feature. It isn't a character. He only has access to character throws off the back of I would have words with thee, which, is guaranteed, and you do get the place, but it's limited to size 4. And yeah, little things here and there that he's just really, really lacking for me. And you know what, guys? Look at all that power he wants to spend. He isn't immune to shock. Sorry, he isn't immune to stun. He is immune to shock. He isn't immune to stun. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of hype about him. I really just do not see it. I think he's got a number of things going against him. First of all, I think he's an underpowered 6 threat. Second of all, he has multiple 5 threats in affiliation that are better. And third of all, he's up against another character with the same name, so you can't use them both. And that other character is arguably, for the threat level, better. So this is going to surprise some people, guys, and may annoy some people, but hey, it's my opinion. He's going in C tier. I would much rather take the original version of Thor over the new version of Thor. I just do not think he is good enough. Anyway, on that bombshell, let's round things out with some Valkyrie, aka Brunhilde. 3 cost, or 3 threat even. I'm getting my Shatterpoint head on there. Yeah, 3 threat. She does a lot. Access to her charge round turn 1 is really nice, especially when you consider the fact that Loki can get her at the board. Warrior of Legend becomes exceptionally good when you can throw in rerolls in there. Flurry on Dragonfang. So, again, fishing for that crit wild to be able to do a second attack is always really nice. Asgardian Might, guys, she's a 3 threat and she's got a character throw. Look, I think she is absolutely solid. I think she is definitely the best 3 cost that Asgard have right now. She can dish out so much damage. Just so much damage, right? If you've got Warrior of Legend with that Dragon Fang and you add in those rerolls there if you need it, she has the potential to be one-shotting quite a lot of models on the board. So yeah, I think she's very, very solid. Again, access to that charge round 1, or indeed get her an extra power and access to that Asgardian Might round 1, just throwing somebody off a point. She's solid. Where is she going to go? Well, I'm a little bit torn at the moment because I don't quite think she makes it into that S tier. I think that probably is reserved for Bill, but she is going to go at the top of A tier. Again, it's a character I don't see played a huge amount. She used to be everywhere. But I think she's absolutely solid. I think under Loki, she can do really, really good work. Moving her up the board, giving her the rerolls. I think overall, she's just a very, very good character. Probably under any of these leaders. She's probably one of only 2 characters on here where you're going, I'm taking them in every Asgard list that I'm running. And that is Bill and that is Valkyrie, at least in my opinion. There we go, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let's just go back a second. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Have I done any of your boys dirty? There is no D tier characters for Asgard, but, let's be honest, there are not that many characters. But even so, I think it's a fairly fair reflection of what's going on. What is going on, guys? Well, I am at Sheffield GT this weekend, so I'm going to hopefully have the chance to do a couple of videos with some people as well. There'll be no gameplay videos per se, but hopefully we do get to do a couple of videos and talk to a few people, and we'll be doing a little bit of a report on that next week at some point. Your chance to get tickets has now gone, so unfortunately there are you can't get yourselves any more tickets. And yeah, as I mentioned, we're doing a lot of work on the Shatterpoint mod, and I'm also moving house as well. So if it is a little bit sporadic over the next couple of months, that is the reason why. Guys, I want to give a big shout out and thanks to all of our Patreons. Thank you so much for your support. It really, really does help and really does make the running of the channel that much easier. And if you do want to support us via Patreon, you can do so. There'll be a link down in the description below, or indeed you can become a YouTube member as well. But you don't need to do either of those things to support the channel. Just simply liking, commenting, subscribing and sharing, engaging with the content really, really does go a long way. And I also want to thank the guys at Leodis Games for sponsoring the channel. They just make the general running of it that much easier, and we do have a really nice team Shatterpoint event coming up at the beginning of October. Make sure you check out the Discord. It's where we put all of our MCP things. There aren't going to be any events now that I'm running over July and August, just because it's that much more difficult with holidays and things. But rest assured, when we get back in September, we will be running some more as well. So head on over there and check that out. And as always, guys, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.